certainly when you look across the Commonwealth, there's no way that we can move forward unless we acknowledge the past. And I think so many people have done such an amazing, incredible job of acknowledging the past and trying to right those wrongs. But I think we all acknowledge on here that there is so much more still to do. It's not going to be easy, and in some cases it's not going to be comfortable, but it needs to be done because guess what? Everybody benefits. So I think there's a hell of a lot that we together need to acknowledge, but I only see hope and optimism in the fact that we could only do this together.
We have to, in this moment in time, say, we're going to have to be a little uncomfortable right now because it's only in pushing through that discomfort that we get to the other side of this and find the place, as you're pointing out, where a high tide raises all ships. Equality does not put anyone on the back foot. It puts us all on the same footing, which is a fundamental human right. And that's what we're talking about here. A lot of it as well is in that self-reflection, it's acknowledging whatever mistakes we've all made, right? So if we look at the Commonwealth, and I know part of the conversation we're going to explore later on is looking at the history of that. But if you start on that macro level, you also have to look on a more micro level with each of us individually. What have we done in our past that we put our hand up? And I think this is a moment of reckoning where so many people go, you know what, I need to own that. Maybe I didn't do the right thing there. I knew what I knew. However, now it's time to reset in a different way. And I think both of us, it's part of the conversation we've had quite a bit in our calls over the last few weeks surrounding the Black Lives Matter movement for everyone to be a part of this conversation.
And when it comes to sort of institutional and systemic racism, it's there and it stays there because someone somewhere is benefiting from it. We can't deny or ignore the fact that all of us have been brought up and educated to see the world differently. However, once you start to realize that there is that bias there, then you need to acknowledge it. You need to acknowledge it, but then you need to do the work to be able to become more aware so that you can... Exactly what you're saying.
Well, and I think so much of what we're seeing as well is that, you know, it's not even in the big moments, right? It's in the quiet moments where racism and unconscious bias lies, and as you've said, lies and hides and thrives. And it's those nuances that I think makes it confusing for a lot of people to understand the role that they play in that, either passively or actively, but I think even more so passively. And so much of what I've come to the understanding of, especially in learning even more about it of late, and obviously having had personal experience with it as well, but in people's complacency, they're complicit. Yeah. And that, I think, is the shift that we're seeing, to go, it's not enough to just be a bystander and saying, well, it wasn't me. And that's what I think was very much manifested in what you're feeling from people's outpouring surrounding the murder of George Floyd. That if it wasn't that this wasn't always happening, it's that it's come to a head at a time where people just said, enough.
And for the first time ever, thanks to the Black Lives Matter movement, that doesn't have a single address, doesn't have a single leader, it is a movement that is swept across the world, that finally everybody who knows and recognizes the wrong in this for years and years, decades, hundreds of years gone by, that this is the moment when people are starting to be listened to.
What you're echoing is this idea of we can talk about it, you can put something on an Instagram or talk about the books you're reading or whatnot, but how do you put that in action?
The huge majority around the world, especially the younger generation, are speaking out, and for the first time they're really starting to be heard. You are the next generation of leadership, which this world so desperately needs as it goes through this healing process.
Well, and that I think is so true, because there's nothing that's stopping you now.
Nothing.
Knowing that you have the attention of the world to say the world is seeking solutions, the world is craving a healing through everything that's happened over these several months, and we really look back at history for obviously much longer than that. And I think, Alicia, to your point earlier, talking about discomfort and why it's an important recognition is that it's like growing pains. Growing pains are painful. This process is painful, and it has been for a long time. But through that immense pain, what we can have tremendous faith in is knowing that there will be growth. And that's what we're seeing happen every single day as all of you are out there campaigning, fighting the right fight, being on the right side of history, and ensuring that we can get closer to seeing this truly as our past and not something that we have to revisit again and again and again. So we thank you and commend you for your efforts on that. It is inspiring for both of us to watch and to bear witness to, and why we, of course, made the time and find it a huge honor to be able to have this time with all of you today.
Guys, I'm aging, right? I'm 35 already, and
that's not aging.
It is aging compared to these guys. Look, But the optimism and the hope that we get is listening and speaking to people like you, because there is no turning back now, right? Everything is coming to a head. Solutions exist, and change is happening far quicker than it ever has done before. But back to all your points, is we have to acknowledge, but also learn from the past where people have tried to do something similar and failed for one reason or another. How are we going to be successful this time? Because all the clues are there. We just need this movement to be able to continue this momentum for as long as it takes.